and I say, okay, I'm peaceful. What will happen is, the mind being the mind, after some time it will get disturbed. Once he comes down from the Himalayas and goes back to Delhi, his mind will be pretty disturbed. And he will say, oh, I was so happy in the Vedanta center or high in the Himalayas, and now I'm so disturbed again. No, the mistake we are making is in getting identified with the mind again. The peace of the mind, the lack of peace in the mind, I am the witness of both. I'm equally the witness of both. I'm equally undisturbed by either state. That is real peace. In fact, in the Upanishads, one of the names of the Atman, the self, is Shantam. Mandukya Upanishad, 7th mantra. Shantam Shivam Advaitam. Shantam. Your very name is peace. You don't have to be peaceful. Mind can be peaceful, the body can be at peace. That's very good. But you are eternally at peace because your name, according to the Upanishads, our name is peace. It's not that the self is peaceful. It's that the self is peace itself. Now, this knowledge, this consciousness, which is aware of everything throughout our day. There was this philosopher 700 years ago who lived in the south of India in Karnataka, Vidyaranya Swami, who was a famous writer of the Panchadashi. In the Vijayanagar kingdom, he used to live there. So in the Panchadashi, in the first chapter, he says, Shabda Sparshadayo Vedya Vaichitrya Jagare Prithat. All sorts of experiences that we have throughout the day, we hear. Right now you're listening to sounds. You see things. You feel things. You think about things. You have emotions. All of them come and go. Tato vibhakta tat samvid aikarupyatma vidyate. Apart from that is the pure consciousness which views them. And that is never changing. That is one and unchanging. Aikarupyatma vidyate. You are that pure consciousness, just like the light in this room. People come and go. It's an empty room, it's a packed room. The light shines equally upon it and is not affected. We slip into dream. Vedanta often has that effect, putting people into the dream state. So, from the waking state, we smoothly go into our dream state when you go to sleep. And there too, dreams come. We dream about so many things, people and events and places. And when we wake up, we compare the dream objects with the waking objects, and we think that, okay, that this was a dream, it is false, waking state is real. But Vidyaranya Swami says, quite apart from all of that, we are missing something very important. What we are missing is the same consciousness which was viewing the waking state was also equally present in the dream state. That's what illumined your dream world. The consciousness continues unbroken. You'd say, why don't we remember it? Why don't I think that, okay, I was watching the waking state, now I'm watching the dream state. This I am watching, this kind of thinking, it's in the mind. It's not in pure consciousness. When the mind moves from the waking to the sleep, deep sleep or dream state, it forgets necessarily the waking state. But all of them are equally presented before an unbroken, unchanging consciousness. And then you come to the dream, the deep sleep state. There, this logic sort of seems to break down, In deep sleep, we don't seem to have any consciousness. Medical doctors define deep sleep as a state of unconsciousness. They say that the brain still keeps on working in a different way, but you're not conscious. Vedanta begs to differ. Vedanta says, in the deep sleep state, we are aware of not having anything to be aware of. It's like a vehicle climbing with headlights on, climbing a hill. And when it comes to the top of when it's climbing the hill, raindrops fall through the beam of the vehicle. It's at night, and you can see maybe a deer run across. But when it comes to the top of the hill, and the beams focus out into infinite space, and if it's a clear sky, there's nothing for the light to be reflected back from. So not only will you not see anything, you will not see the beams of light also. There are two beams of light going out, you will not see that also. But that does not mean the light is not there. It's just that there is nothing for the light to be reflected back from. So the pure consciousness, it becomes evident when there is something for it to be aware of. not only does it illumine that thing, it also becomes evident as conscious experience. For conscious experience, we need two things: consciousness and an object of consciousness. So in deep sleep, you have consciousness, but no object of consciousness, because you're not aware of the world, the mind has gone to sleep, you're not aware of the body, you're not aware of the mind also. Now that state is deep sleep. Consciousness continues unbroken there, according to Vedanta. It is one consciousness. Vidyaranya Swami says, I think some 700 years ago, throughout the day, when you are waking, when you are sleeping, when you are dreaming, it is one unbroken, unchanging consciousness. And so, and Vidyaranya Swami says the next day it's the same story. That unchanging consciousness continues. And then comes a very beautiful verse in the Panchadashi, the first chapter, one of the most beautiful verses which I like very much. It goes like this. Masabda yuga kalpeshu gata gamyeshu nekadha nodeti nastametyeka samvid esha swayam prabha. Months pass, years pass. That consciousness remains unchanging. The body grows from childhood to youth to middle age to old age. The mind changes through so many experiences. Knowledge comes, memories accumulate, successes and failures, our personal history, biodata. And all of that is illumined by that one unchanging consciousness. And then it says, even this body may go away. Yuga kalpeshu. Years pass into centuries and millennia, and more than millennia, millions of years. The Hindus have a very vast system of reckoning time. Carl Sagan, you heard of the famous popularizer of science? And he had this beautiful television serial we watched as kids, Cosmos. It was made into a book later on. And he talks about, he says that ancient man had a very limited sense of time. You find that a few years, few hundred years, maximum 2,000 years. And he says today in modern science we talk in terms of millions of years and billions of years from the beginning of from your universe, from the beginning of the Big Bang. And he says at the end of that chapter, he says, I know of only one frame of time which is even more awesome. And he says that is the ancient Hindu cosmology, which they reckon in millions and billions and trillions of years and cycles of creation, many universes coming into existence and then disappearing back again. Anyway, Naudeti nastameti eka samvidesha swayam prabha. This pure consciousness neither rises nor sets, like a sun which neither rises nor sets. Through the eons, through the centuries, millennia and millions of years, through the creation, destruction of universes. And that, according to Vedanta, is what you are. Tat Tvamasi. That is what you are. That is what we are. Bodies come and go. Life after life. What has passed, Gata Gamyeshu Anaikadha. What beautiful poetry. He says millions of years have passed and many lives have passed. And many more are yet to come. Many more centuries and lives and Swami Vivekananda says fathers and mothers and husbands and wives and children and friends and enemies. We have had all of this wealth and poverty, learning and ignorance. We have had all of this many times and we will have it many times more. All of this will come and go. But this pure consciousness, this witness consciousness which is within us, it watches, it is experiencing. Page after page in God's book of life, as it is turned, we go through this. There's a beautiful saying, I don't know who said it, but I like it so much, it's so Vedantic. It says that whatever lies behind you, that means your past. And whatever yet is to come in front, whatever lies in front of you, the few years of life that we have remaining. All of that is nothing as compared to what is within you. All of that. We either keep looking back when we are old, or the young keep looking forward. And invariably we are disappointed by in comparison to the vastness of the universe, to the vastness and richness of life, how little of it we are able to actually grasp and experience and enjoy. And the Vedanta tells us you're looking in the wrong direction. All of this is as nothing compared to what is within you. An infinite consciousness, existence, bliss. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 13th chapter, Sri Krishna talks to Arjuna, telling him exactly this. Now with this background, we can wade through what Krishna says with greatest ease. You know? Even if Arjuna is confused, we can all understand now. And we can smile at Arjuna. Sri Krishna says, Idam shariram kaunteya kshetram mityabhidhiyate etadyo vetti tam prahu kshetrajyam iti tadvidaha. O Arjuna, this body is the field. And the one who knows this body, knows, etadyo vetti, is the knower of the field, kshetrajya. The field is called kshetra, and the one who knows this field, body, the field, is called kshetrajya. Well, so what? Well, now we know. There's a secret word. There is a lock here, and we've got the key to that. The lock is that word knows. Etadyo vetti, one who knows this, and we are prepared. We have got the key to open that lock. If I know this body, I am the knower of this body. I am that pure consciousness which watched this body grow from childhood to youth, to middle age, to old age. We have, in Belur Mutt, where I come from, we have a place where monks, when they pass away, they are cremated. And of course the government does not allow people to do their own cremations, but only for us, the monks in Belur Mutt. So we have a very interesting ceremony. People are puzzled, they see that, Usually outsiders are not allowed. An old monk passes away, is cremated, and it's a joyous occasion. People will sing songs and meditate and pray, and it's a very beautiful, elevating occasion. And one of the songs which is traditionally sung in the cremation ground there in Belur Mutt, it goes like this: Shishu chilam yuva hoyechi, dudin pore vriddha hobe. I was a child, now I'm a young man or young woman. 2 days later I'll be old. Deher nashe dehanta. After the death of the body, I will get another body. Maron ki bhai dekhao mori. O death, you hold no fear for me. I go from body to body. I have no death. You cannot do anything. You can kill the body. But I am not the body. Not only that, if I really know who I am, I'm not even affected by what you can do to the body. And I'm just talking theoretically now, but I've seen so many of these instances. Today I was telling a gentleman today that I've seen a monk, an old monk, in a hospital. He was the oldest patient admitted there, I was the youngest. So he was paralyzed in both feet, blind in both eyes, and he had been like that for the last 15 years of his life. And a more joyous man I've never met. What is transcending the body? You think some kind of smoky thing will come out of the body and that is transcending the body or something, some light comes out. Maybe, I don't know. But I've seen it with my own eyes. Here is this old man with a shattered body. Doesn't have a family, he's a monk. Doesn't have a bank balance, doesn't have servants, doesn't have property or anything. Nothing. Nothing in the world except God. And he's so full of joy. Because he can't see you. When you go, you have to announce yourself and so and so. First thing he'll ask is about you. I had never, 2 months I was in the hospital next to his bed, close to his bed, and never ever once heard him complaining. Transcending the body. You're not the body. And after death, I will get another body. But that's not the end of the song. The song goes on like that. Shono miminoti ashutosh, kaj ki amar dehantare, Gyan Rupi Shiv Ache Namai Kole Kole. I pray to you, O Lord Shiva. I don't need another body. I have had enough of this game of life. I only desire to sleep in the lap of Shiva, who is Gyan-rupi, who is consciousness himself. Now we can very beautifully understand, the Shankaracharya, we all have read Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. Now look at the words. Now you can easily understand. Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham. I am not the mind. If I ask you right now, quiz, midterm quiz, this is not halfway through the lecture. Why are you not the mind? Because you know the mind, exactly. You know the mind. You're a witness of the mind. It's not that you have to become a witness of the mind. Do you see the subtle difference between knowing that you are the witness of the mind? You have been, you just have to recognize that you are the witness of the mind. Don't try to be a witness of the mind. You see what happens is, the trap we fall into, if you try to be a witness of the mind, it will just be the mind observing itself. That's good. That's called introspection. You can do that. The human mind has that wonderful capacity. You can introspect, you can look at your own mind. We can know the contents of our own minds. And that's a good exercise. But that is not what Vedanta is telling us. I remember old Swami in the Himalayas telling us this, and then he says in Hindi how you're going to be a witness. And then he says, Kya Mahatma ji? Lag raha hai na ki aap drashta ho? Well, Swami, don't you feel that you are a witness? You're feeling like a witness now? And most of us were sitting there, we nodded happily, yes. And then in Hindi he says, Bahut bade gadde mein giroge. You're going to fall into a very deep hole. Because what happens is, you know what will happen? I feel like a witness and seems to be a good idea. Let me practice being a witness. Oh, I'm being swept off being a witness. I'm getting involved all the time. And then, oh my God, I've forgotten to be a witness for the past 3 hours. And I had this terrible struggle to be a witness. And 5 years later, down the line, I gave it up because it's too difficult, I say. Vedanta never meant that. Vedanta says you are the witness whether you come to a single Vedanta class or not. Whether you try or not. If you try, you are still a witness. If you do not try, especially, then you are a witness. The Atman, the consciousness, which is enabling all our knowledge now, that is a witness. It's the very nature of that Atman. You don't have to try to be a witness. You have to recognize it. Whenever you want, whenever you're suffering, whenever there's a problem, you see that you are the light which shines upon this knowledge. And the prayer in the song goes, I want to be one with that consciousness. It's like Shiva, I want to sleep on the lap of Shiva. I don't want another body. Mano buddhi hankara chittani naham. I am not the mind. I am not the intellect. See how powerful it is. The very intellect which we are using to understand all this now. I am not that either. It's an instrument. When I look through a microscope, I don't become a microscope. It helps me to see something. The intellect helps me to see what this fellow is talking about. But I am not the intellect. And chitta, oh, that's so important. All our guilt, all our limitations, all our suffering is in memory. It's in memory. I am not memory either. I am not memory either. I am the witness of memory. And finally, the deepest and the most shocking revelation of all, ahankaranaham. I am not the I also. What we always say, who are you? I am the ego, the one which feels I right now, the ego. That which appropriates this mind and body and all its experiences to itself and says, I am Swami Sarvapriyananda. I am this guy sitting on the chair here. That I, that's not who you are. Ahankaranaham. Why not? Again the same principle, because you experience it. Don't you feel, when you immediately say I, don't you feel that I? It's a thought in our minds. The I, the ego, is also a thought in our minds. When you are in deep concentration, a surgeon working with tremendous concentration on an operation, self-forgetfulness, the ego is forgotten. Does that person not exist at that time? Of course he or she exists. There is no cognitive capacity left over for the ego to function. So you don't have a feeling of I am operating. And in fact, the best work happens then. The best work, the best play, and this psychologist, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who talks about flow. It's a peak performance. Any kind of peak performance, one of the characteristics is loss of self-consciousness. When you're deeply absorbed in it, a tennis player, a musician, a singer, a chess player, has to forget the ego. Does that mean that consciousness, who is the chess player or the musician or the surgeon, is not there? Of course it's there, and most powerfully there at that time. You are not the ego either. Then only Shankaracharya can sing without any hesitation, Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivo. I am consciousness and bliss. Shiva is Puranic deity represented as sitting on Kailasha with Jata and all this iconography. But the real meaning of Shiva is this consciousness and bliss. Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham. And this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna in the first verse of the 13th chapter. And the 13th chapter is a bit peculiar because Gita is supposed to have 700 verses. And the 13th chapter, it begins, in some Gitas you will see it begins with a question. Arjuna asks a question to Krishna and then Krishna answers. If you include that verse, it becomes 701 verses. So in some Gitas that verse is left out. So in that case, what I just said, this body is the field and the consciousness, the one which knows it and is separate from it within, is a knower of the field. Alright, we're still far from Vedanta. Now we go deeper into it. See, two questions will arise now. The first question is, so here is a pure consciousness, witness of this body and mind. And, there's some, is the sun disturbing you? There's a lot of sunlight coming. It's okay? Yeah. So there is this pure consciousness within this body and mind. And I see so many people sitting here. So is there a separate pure consciousness in each of them, a separate witness in each of them? Or is it all one? That's a question. It can come. Millions and billions of people. And why only people? Animals, birds, all sorts of creatures which have consciousness. So is there a separate pure consciousness for each of them, or is it all one? That's one question. And second, here we are